If I said that The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel wasn't one of the best books I've ever read, I'd be lying. The book is dense with wisdom that goes far beyond the traditional ideas of how to get rich and why we stay poor. Let's examine the 10 best quotes from the book. Narrowing it down to just 10 wasn't easy since almost every page was dense with nuggets of wisdom. However, it makes for a great quick read. 1. A genius who loses control of their emotions can be a financial disaster. The opposite is also true. Ordinary folks with no financial education can be wealthy if they have a handful of behavioral skills that have nothing to do with formal measures of intelligence. We all know the wealthy person who is not traditionally intelligent. Even more common is the extremely intelligent person who doesn't have much wealth. Intelligence is useful, but there is not a direct correlation between wealth and intelligence. The decisions needed to get rich are often simple enough that anyone can do them. Which brings me to the next quote. 2. What you know is different from what you do. This quote is simplistic but not simple. Failing to put into action the things we know makes them useless. In money, the disconnect between intellectual understanding and our practical implementation is at the heart of most financial decisions. For example, most people already know they should invest their money into assets that earn compound interest, but very few do it, even when they have the funds available. Housel says financial success is a soft skill rather than a hard science, and how we behave is what truly matters. 3. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. As one's income grows, so too do their expectations. What was once enough is now too little. Many of the super wealthy among us want to keep up with the Joneses, but when they pass them, they aren't happy. So they simply find a new metaphorical family to keep up with. This is one of the book's most deeply psychological aspects, and I loved reading every word about it. Some of the thought-provoking questions you might ask yourself when thinking over this idea: what's the point in getting more when it's never enough anyway? When do you actually start enjoying this? Why does what someone else has affect how I feel about what I have? Also, how do we keep up with the Joneses when the most valuable thing, freedom and autonomy to do what we want when we want, isn't visible? Howard says that the hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving, and I agree. 4. The ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want, is priceless. It is the highest dividend money pays. What I love about this quote is that it's one of the few benefits money brings that doesn't involve spending it. Simply having the money saved allows you a freedom that most people do not have. When you spend your money, you are selling a little bit of that freedom. There is a happy middle ground somewhere here, a balance between enjoying the things wealth can buy, but also the freedom that comes when you allow it to grow and not drain it on things that aren't as valuable as your freedom. 5. There is no reason to risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need. One of the greatest tragedies in life is when someone has it all and loses it in the pursuit of more. This is one of the most illogical things people do with money. Housel tells the story of men like Rajat Gupta, who had more than most could ever dream of, but lost it all and ended up in prison for insider trading in his pursuit of becoming a billionaire. 6. Focus less on specific individuals and case studies and more on broad patterns. We love case studies, but this isn't the best way to learn. I'd guess that over the past 10 years, I've seen hundreds of thousands of articles in the style of The Daily Habits of Warren Buffett or The 10 Books Bill Gates Recommends. We glorify the extreme outliers and want to know what their secret is. There is a false belief that we should aim to replicate what worked for wealthy people, but Housel argues that this is a flawed approach. He says that the more extreme an example, the more likely that extreme luck or risk was involved. Instead, we should look at the patterns that work for a wider group of people, not just the extreme outliers. 7. No one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are. An absolute headshot of a quote, but we all know this is true. If you're buying things to impress other people, it's probably not working like you hope. Instead, focus on buying things that bring you actual utility and make you feel good, regardless of impressing others. 8. There are a million ways to get wealthy, and plenty of books on how to do so. But there's only one way to stay wealthy, some combination of frugality and paranoia. You can't out-earn bad spending habits. 9. Things that have never happened before happen all the time. This was one of my favorite quotes because I had never thought this way before. Housel argues that the most significant economic events, the ones that actually move the needle, are usually historical anomalies. They were the first of their kind. These unprecedented occurrences shape the world in profound ways, and their very nature makes them nearly impossible to foresee. We should remember that no matter how much we study, prepare, and predict, we should be prepared for something crazy happening that changes everything. 10. Some people are born into families that encourage education. Others are against it. Some are born into flourishing economies, encouraging of entrepreneurship. Others are born into war and destitution. I want you to be successful, and I want you to earn it, but realize that not all success is due to hard work, and not all poverty is due to laziness. Keep this in mind when judging people, including yourself. Not all poor people are lazy, and not all rich people work hard for their money. Control what you can, but never lose sight of the fact that circumstances do matter. Be thankful for the luck you have, and never take it for granted. If you find it interesting, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to watch more useful videos.